Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. Coming straight from the Berg, she is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How was your week?
It's been pretty good so far. We survived the draft this past weekend. And by survived, I mean we were out of out of the state. We went to Ohio for a little weekend trip.
Nice.
But came back and things seemed normal. I got another tattoo, which is a shock to absolutely no one. But got to keep it going. I mean, got a three of swords on my leg, and
Nice.
then should be getting the back of the hand done in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna report back on how painful that's gonna be. I know it's gonna be a little spicy, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, let me know, because that's definitely a spot I always wanted to get tattooed. I'm just too scared because of the pain.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard, honestly, both. I mean, I've heard that it's not really as bad as people think. They're like, if you have enough like tattoos and have a high pain tolerance, you should be fine. But they just said sometimes if you get like above the first knuckle, it gets a little spicy. Like my one tattoo artist has like pretty much a full like body suit for the most part. She's like covered head to toe, and she's like, yeah, when the artist went up onto my like fingers up into the knuckles, she's like, it felt like my hands were getting cut off.
Nice.
That was great. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. But beauty's pain and all that fun stuff. But we suffer for the art.
There you have it. Well, good luck to you on getting that tattoo. That seems like it's obviously we're both tattoo enthusiasts, so it seems fun, but like we said, it seems painful at the same time.
Yeah, you kind of just go into it knowing it's gonna hurt. It's just, I guess my mindset when it comes to that is just I don't want to waste my artist time or my time by like quitting. I can proudly say I've never tapped on a tattoo ever, and the longest session I think we had at one time was like 6.5 hours. So
Wow.
yeah, I just tend to just get it over with because it'll be worth it in the end. It's just yeah, getting there a little bit is a bit of a pain, but we do what we do.
Well, good luck to you on that endeavor.
Thank you. I'm gonna probably need it.
No problem. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here for the first time, thank you very much for checking out the Ringside Rundown podcast. It is a podcast about pro wrestling, and this week we get to do what we're good at, and that is answer your questions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, whether it's AEW, WWE. We got a whole bunch of questions and a lot of stuff to talk about. Wrestling news is pretty big right now, and not for good reasons. And we'll definitely talk about it on the show. We got a lot of questions to get to, so why don't we get right into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let me pull them up here. So we're gonna start with Mom's questions. So she didn't have a whole lot. She just said she wanted to give us some talking points this week, and boy, did we have plenty of talking points for this weekend, regardless.
Yeah.
But her first one, I always like to jumble them around. So she wanted to just say congrats to Darby, obviously winning the AEW World Championship, which that was a fun moment a couple weeks ago. Not gonna lie, that was it was kind of unexpected, but expected at the same time. I felt like if they wouldn't have had the promo they had earlier on in the night, I would have been like, oh, that was a really like I've never expected that or saw that coming. I feel like I kind of suspected it a little bit with the promo and Darby crying and whatnot, but you know what, good for him. We've been waiting for this for a while, honestly. It was a matter of, are they ever going to do it at this point? Because we thought like the opportunity had passed him by, but I'm glad they pulled the trigger on it, and I hope he keeps that title for quite a while, because I'd say he's earned it.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I think I went shocked because we were streaming that night, so I was streaming AEW Dynamite, and I went silent for like 20 seconds out of pure shock, because I really didn't think that they were going to do it. I don't know about what MJF has going on outside of AEW or anything that might take him away from the product, but I didn't think that they were going to just change the belt like that. I mean, all signs did point that they would. They were in his home state, really close to his hometown, really close to where he started training and all that stuff. So all signs did point that they would do it. You just didn't think that they would, and they actually did. And it makes you wonder why. Were they trying to be like the talk of the wrestling world? Because this happened right around WrestleMania. So it's like, were they trying to dominate the headlines and stuff like that? So, but again, I think it's smart what they're doing. They're putting a lot of challenges under Darby's belt. I like the Tommaso Ciampa match he had last week was excellent. It was a really, really good match, pay-per-view level worthy match for sure. So I'm interested in seeing how this match with Brody King is going to go. I'm excited for the match with Brody King. I really think they're good because they have a rivalry, a very healthy, respectable rivalry with each other. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do on Dynamite tomorrow, or in this case, if you're listening, it is today.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. These two have always had really good matches, and like you said, it's that unique kind of rivalry where we don't hate each other, we respect each other, but we're also gonna not like hold back either.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what they could do.
For sure.
All right, so let me see. All right, I'm gonna do the reverse of how she had these because I feel like her first question is a good segue into Mike's first question as well. So, is it sad that Britt Baker was on TV more for the NFL draft than on AEW? Yeah, that was kind of the running joke, it seemed, on Twitter was, oh, look, Britt's finally on TV, and it was her being in the first round of the draft. That kind of, I think the way it's like easiest way to describe how it was set up was that there was like, if in concert speak, there was the general admission crowd and then like the private boxes in the front with all the different teams. And Britt was right up in the front because I think the boxes were just like the teams had a certain amount of like tickets or amount of spots, and so they got to like pick who would go. So it would depend on if there were like season ticket holders or like famous celebrities of the team. I don't really know who else was in the other boxes because, to be fair, I wasn't really paying too much attention, but I knew Britt was there because I'd seen on her social media she was there. I knew she was going to be anyway, but it was nice to see her on TV. It was nice to show that she still exists and what. But yeah, it was kind of sad. It was kind of sad that it's like this is the only way we can see her on TV right now is on a football draft that has nothing to do with her employment. It's just how it is right now, unfortunately, and don't think that's gonna change anytime soon because not like we've had any indication that it will. So I'll believe it when I see it.
I don't know what the deal is with Britt Baker, like, and Tony Khan he doesn't skirt around the topic. He still makes it known that she works there. It's just that she hasn't been used.
Yeah, but I feel like the problem is that I feel like in a way he does kind of skirt around it because every time it gets brought up, it's the same answer every time in just various words where it's like, oh, well, we still value Britt and she's like a big member of the roster and we're just waiting for the right time for her to come back. And it's just like, okay, well, you've had how long has it been at this rate? I think like 2-3 years, I think. It's been long. It's been a long time. But you mean to tell me in those years, literal years that she's been gone, you haven't found the perfect time for her to come back? It's like, please, come on. We're not stupid. You're just trying to like dodge the question while still acknowledging the question, and it's just I don't know. It's just we've talked about it before that sometimes Tony can be very petty, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case of supposedly he got tired of something that was going on with her. Obviously, we aren't going to ever really fully know what the problem was, but it's just like I'd like to hear more than just acknowledging she works there. I'd like to actually see something that you keep promising is going to happen and it hasn't, and people aren't going to forget. People are going to continue to ask you until you actually do it, but it's a matter of how long he's going to keep the charade up.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Again, it's just poor mom always jokes around of like, oh yeah, this is when Britt's gonna come back. I'm like, at this rate, I'll just believe it when I see it because there's nothing. There's nothing that's really, I don't know. I can't even say like, oh, well, they're just waiting to like for everyone to forget and to like surprise us. And it's just like, no, I don't think people are really gonna forget. But I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you at this rate. But to segue from mom's questions into Mike's questions, this is a good way to do it. So her last question is with the current, well, it's more of a talking point with hers. With the current round of roster cuts at WWE, I feel like it's getting to the point of unwatchable for her. I'm so over the corporate greed. Alistair was not even there a whole year, and it really wasn't. I think it was like, what, a day short of a year that he debuted, and then he gets cut a day before a year of being back in the company. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding? I felt like, so remember when Dakota and Shayna got released and you broke the news to me and I was at a concert? Poor mom and I were, where were we? I think we were just leaving an arcade and we were getting dinner. And I remember I was scrolling on Twitter for something and I kind of heard like during the day that the roster cuts were possibly coming. And I'm just like, great. This is just a matter of when it's going to happen. And I started to see like a couple names here and there. Like I originally saw Zoe Stark and I'm like, yeah, it's shitty, but I'm not really surprised because I weren't really doing much with her, even though she was cleared, which is kind of wild to me. But then I saw that they were getting rid of Kaylee Ray and I'm like, okay, that one kind of sucks because I've always been a fan of hers, but I'm also not surprised because they never let her live to her full potential. And then I saw Alistair and Zelina's name come up and I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. I almost didn't want to tell her because obviously anyone who's listened to this podcast since pretty much the beginning knows that you and I are huge fans of Alistair. And it was just like, you've got to be kidding. Like, why? I don't know. And it's just wild to me to think that we were so close to actually having a pretty decent storyline with Alistair involving Randy Orton and the whole build up to WrestleMania. And that was supposedly going to be the plan until somebody decided that celebrities were more important than the actual employees you employ. But to go from what we could have had to just now they're gone, and it was pretty much implied that AEW doesn't want him back. So it's a matter of where's he going to show up and where's Zelina going to show up. But it's just like, holy fuck, man. Like, nobody was really safe. And a friend of mine and I were talking about it at work. We've been pretty much talking about, or just going back and forth on all things wrestling for the past like week or so. And it seems like in WWE, if you are not a top 1% like talent, you pretty much, your job security is non-existent because they're cutting people in the middle of storylines, in somewhat prominent storylines. You're getting rid of these people out of nowhere. And it's just like Kyrie's the biggest example. She was still in the middle of that whole thing with Asuka. We were waiting for it to end up turning into a feud at some point, and then now she's gone.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not somebody whose name is like Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, those people that make you a lot of money, your job's pretty much in jeopardy every year, it seems like. And it's just baffling to me. Like, I get that they continue to do this and this isn't like a new thing, but it doesn't fail to annoy me because it's like, it's just the corporate greed. Make how much money, as much money as we can, and how are we going to be able to keep as much of that money as we can? Well, we got to cut everybody, but it's budget cuts though. And it's just such a tone deaf thing to do because it's like, you love to boast and brag and talk all about how, oh, well, we had the highest gate in WrestleMania history and we made all this money, guys. Look how great we are. Oh, yeah, we actually also have to cut like a good portion of the roster just because, the budget. It's like it always comes across as tone deaf. It's never not come across badly and always received poorly. Right. And they just don't care. That's just, they don't fucking care because they're still making their money one way or another. And that's corporate, the corporate wheel keeps spinning.
Yeah, I mean, that's the basic way to put it, and that's the only way, like, not to justify it, because you never want to hear about anybody losing their job or anything like that. That sucks, and I feel bad for anybody that lost their job at WWE, over these past roster cuts. And but when you're dealing with a multi-billion dollar company, you got to recognize that your employees are just that, employees. There's no loyalty. Um, you're not, they're gonna thank you for your work and for your performance, but like you said, nobody's job is really safe at any
Yeah.
point. You know, um, and yeah, that's definitely, because I thought it was a joke at first when I read it, because I had read it scrolling through Facebook through one of these random wrestling accounts. So I was like, wait a second, let me go to a verified source. And then when I saw it, I was just like, what the hell? Like,
Mhm.
Alistair, Zelina, Kyrie, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And still, Alistair kind of puzzles me, and as to why they decided to do that. I think there's some rumors going around that Kyrie probably wanted to go back to Japan, and she wanted to be in Japan, so WWE kind of expedited that for her. Um, but just really, really confusing with some of these names. Not all of them. Not all of them. I will say there were some of them that you're like, wow, that person really did last a long time in catering.
Yeah.
So not all of them, but some of them was definitely uh puzzling.
Yeah, I think the biggest one we haven't talked about yet, but I think we're going to save that for Mike's question because I think that is exactly what he asked, actually. So, Mom, thank you for all your questions and talking points. We always appreciate it.
Thank you, Mom.
So, we're going to go right into Mike's questions, and we're pretty much just going to carry over to what we were just talking about. So, besides Kyrie and Alistair and Zelina, who was the biggest surprise for you on those releases? It is the easiest question, the Wyatt Six, the entirety of the Wyatt Six. Just gone. Like, this is the same faction that you guys literally made a attraction for at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with wrestling. Just you had that as a crossover into pop culture and whatnot, and everyone seemed to like it from what I could hear. It always seemed like it was a popular attraction. And you just it's just like they forgot what else to do with them, and it's just like it just doesn't make any sense. It
I
just doesn't make any sense.
The Wyatt Six was they could have done so much with it,
Yeah,
but
and they
like
didn't.
they don't. When it comes to these dark, ominous characters, I feel like they're not very good at booking them.
No,
They
not at
just
all.
don't know what they're doing with them.
They're pretty much just like, if it's not the Undertaker, then it's like, well, we don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, that's not very fair, because my friend made a very good point, because they've been a wrestling fan for much longer than I have, and they're like, the problem is that you don't do anything to benefit the talent as a talent. So when you do have to, apparently, like, have to let them go, some of them are probably not going to be able to find jobs, because you're not really giving any other company an incentive to take a chance on them. I mean, 9 times out of 10, people are going to find somewhere to go, which is good, but it's just like, you're not giving people these proper chances.
Mm,
And then when you get rid of them, it's just like, okay, well, we didn't really know what to do with you. So, I mean, it's not our problem. It's like, okay, well, you had the opportunities to do something about it and you didn't.
right.
Like, I, it's just, it's just, you just shake your head at it, because you had so many opportunities with the Wyatt Six to do so much cool shit. Like, their debut and the first few months after that were fantastic. They obviously, like I said, they had the attraction at Halloween Horror Nights in Florida, and I think in California, if I remember correctly. And then it was just like, okay, well, we don't know. And I think it's just kind of a point I made to my friend was I think the problem is that nowadays we're in such a culture of instant gratification that no one wants to take their time building a character properly or a storyline anymore,
Right. Yeah.
unless it just like falls in their lap.
Right.
If it's okay, well, we're going to try this and we're going to try it for, we'll just say a month. Okay, well, we tried for a month. It's kind of gaining traction, but it's not really there yet. Well, okay, well, it's a failure. And you can't convince me otherwise that it's a failure. It's done. We're just moving on to something else. It's like, okay, well, the perfect example I came up with when we were talking about it was if you go back into like the heyday of WWE or the WWF or whatever, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock were not stars overnight.
Right.
They weren't. Like, Stone Cold was struggling to even find his footing. You had The Rock getting, like, die Rocky die signs. So it's just like, these guys didn't become instant stars overnight. With the
Right.
proper work and storyline and whatever, they ended up getting there. But it's just like, nowadays, it's like that times 1,000. You have to get this done immediately or else this is just a failure and we're, like, over it. And it's just like, they say that they pay attention to the fans, but I really don't. They like to say they do, but I feel like that's kind of selective on how they do it. Because if the fans are wanting something and they're just not giving it to them, what are we fucking doing here? Like, look at LA Knight. How many opportunities has this poor guy almost had until somebody decided somewhere that, oh, well, there's actually maybe a better option somewhere else, so we're just going to go with that. It's like, they haven't given him a time to properly do anything because they just keep pulling the rug out from under him. But it's just, I don't know. It just never gets any easier. And there's just always a handful of names on these cuts where it's just like, what's the problem here? Like, how did you guys let insert character, insert faction here, like, go by the wayside as badly as you did?
Yeah.
And they just seem to find a way to keep doing it, because they just have to focus on old reliables, and when old reliables aren't there anymore, it's just like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know why we don't have all these stars. Like, what's up with that? It's like, well, yeah, because you pay too much attention to a select few that you never put any time in for the, like, up-and-comers or the newer stars, and then you wonder why you don't have any right now, because you don't have the wide stream appeal like WWE or WWF back in the day did, because you had characters that were larger than life, that did span across multiple forms of pop culture and media and whatnot. And you guys just don't have that nowadays, because I don't know why. I don't know why it is. They just don't want to put the work in or what, but it's just, you can't expect stuff to happen at 100 times the pace as it did back in the day. It's not going to work.
Yeah. I agree. It's just perplexing. It's just all of it is very perplexing, and it's hard to figure out. I think what the problem was, again, is that WWE has a hard time booking these dark, ominous characters, and so there might have been like a ceiling for the Wyatt Six. Unfortunately, is that harsh as that sounds, is that there wasn't much for them. There wasn't anywhere to go because nobody knew how to book them. You know,
Yeah.
They gave them the tag team belts, which was fine, and I thought they were a great tag team champion. But if they would have gave them a couple more matches, that would have been cool as tag team champions. But other than that, like, I was definitely surprised they were let go.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because since TKO is kind of involved, we have to lean more into like the realism of everything, because they're first and foremost an MMA focused company, which is more obviously realistic than wrestling. But okay, but you're not also supposed to get away from the thing that made you popular in the first place. Like, there's just no way. Like, you have to have some type of escapism at some point in wrestling. Like, I get the realism, I appreciate the realism, but I also appreciate like the suspending the disbelief sometimes just for the sake of entertainment. And I
Right.
feel like they're losing that. And I think that's just the problem, is that when it comes to these darker characters, you have to have a little bit of a semblance of suspending your disbelief, because if you went super dark and realistic with those kind of characters, it would kind of get into more like, maybe a little more, I don't know, like maybe serial killer kind of I don't know. You know what I mean though, where it's like you can't get too terribly realistic with like the darker kind of characters because then it kind of just veers more into like horror territory and they don't want to do that clearly, but they could do that though and it would be cool. It's just people like horror, people like scary stuff, and it's just I feel like they just don't know how to like find that line or that balance, and I don't even think they know how to. I don't think they even quite care at this point, but it it just sucks. And I think it just sucks because it wasn't just Alistair and Zelina or the Wyatt Six, it was all of them at the same time, and it's just like holy crap, like what do you do now? It's just it'll be interesting to see where all of them go. I don't know. You never know if the Wyatt Six would all show up together, but they could. They could come into AEW. Like I said, with Alistair and Zelina, I don't know if AEW wants them back, so maybe they'll go with TNA or somewhere else, or who knows. But it's just it's a shame. And the problem is that you have a large subsection of these fans where it'll be public outcry for a little bit and then they just won't care.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what we were kind of wondering with Kyrie if they were gonna make because they were making a big stink with Kyrie online and the We Want Kyrie hashtag. So we were wondering while we're watching the stream, like, are they gonna be vocal about it? And they did get a chant off, but I don't think it was anything substantial. It wasn't anything like people like to equate it to the R-Truth situation where like they got rid of R-Truth and then everybody was like, we want truth, and that's how it happened. I don't think it was on that level. So I don't know if WWE even really cares, you know?
no, I don't think they do because they're like, you know what? There's always going to be a group of fans that are WWE fans and nothing else. Like the best way my friend put it was that the casual WWE fan that's going to be up in arms over this whole thing is like they're mad that Kyrie got released, but they're not going to buy a Stardom subscription to watch her. Or it's Alistair and Zelina, they're pissed they're gone, but they're not going to go watch TNA if they get signed there. It's just like it's always everyone's mad for about 5 seconds, but then no one seems to like care afterwards. I feel like the only person that's really broken that stereotype, at least recently, I think was Killer and Scarlett, because they still have a very strong following even outside of WWE.
Right.
And I feel like they probably feel a little vindicated lately, especially with all the shit going on and what had happened with them if you paid enough attention to that. But I think that's the thing too. You kind of can't have it both ways where you're like, well, I'm super pissed that they let them go. How dare they? And then it's just like 2 months later, you don't give a shit anymore. It's just like, well, if you're actual fans of these people, you have to follow them outside of WWE. Like, there's more to wrestling than just WWE, guys. It's very hard to understand for some people. But, like, again, with Killer and Scarlett, yeah, I hated that they left WWE, but I would watch their matches wherever they would go on all these different indie promotions. I would watch, like, his videos on YouTube and all his documentaries and stuff. And it's just like, you have to actually back it up if you're an actual fan. And I don't want to say like fair weather fans, whatever, but you still have to support these people if you care enough outside of WWE, because there's more to it than just that.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
If that's going to happen, that remains to be seen. I know if there's going to be anybody who gets the most outcries, like you said, Kyrie saying it was there for a little bit and then it kind of was just like fizzled, which it's a shame because I feel like for a little while she just never reached her potential like she almost did coming out of the Mae Young Classic and coming out of NXT. It was just like we wanted so much more and never unfortunately got it, which is a shame, but that's just WWE in a nutshell nowadays. It's depressing.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's like I said, it's never good when anybody loses their job. You don't want anybody losing their job, and you can only hope that these people bounce back as soon as possible, as soon as they're, legally allowed to, because they, some of them have no compete clauses and stuff like that. So, you just hope that they bounce back, and like you said earlier, just go out there and support them wherever they plan on going, whether it's TNA, AEW, wherever. If you're a fan of them, you can support them other places. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's all right to go against the WWE grain, guys. It's not gonna kill you. I swear. Cool. All right. So Mike's very petty for this next question. I think his next few questions are all about the releases, which is fine. So he's like, I know no one likes to see most wrestlers lose their jobs, but out of the releases, who was they cut this wrestler but kept that wrestler?
Huh.
That is such a petty question, but
It
it's funny.
is.
True though. Um,
That's funny because thinking about it, I really don't have anybody in WWE that kind of strikes me like that. You know, like that gives me that feeling. I can name a couple guys in AEW that give me
yeah,
that apathetic feeling, like Gabe
yeah.
Kidd. You know,
Mm.
I'm always like every time Gabe Kidd comes on TV, I'm just like, oh my god, like
I mean, to be fair, I feel like that's how I feel with Lesnar, I suppose,
maybe
but
yeah.
since we don't really know if he's retired or not, and who
I think he's
fucking
retired.
cares?
I think he's
I would like
retired.
to, I sure hope so, but whatever. But I guess that's just my only. And again, it's just like you don't want to come across as, I mean, again, it's a petty question, but it's also just like it's also very hard. It's a very tight rope, like walking a tightrope on that kind of question, because of course you're going to piss somebody off because you're going to say somebody's favorite wrestler that's going to be like pissed, because I'm sure some people would have said back in the day like, well, why is Shayna Baszler still wrestling there and they've gotten rid of all these people? And it's just
Right.
like, okay, whatever, opinions, everybody has opinions, whatever. So for me to say, yeah, you got rid of Alistair and Zelina and the Wyatt Six, but you supposedly, we'll just say for the sake of it, kept Lesnar, it's like, okay, that's bullshit to me, but to somebody
Yeah.
else, I'm sure they're going to disagree, but that would probably be my only answer if he's still there. And
Yeah.
that's the question.
Yeah.
Big if.
See, that's the problem I'm having is nobody gives me that feeling in WWE. Nobody
Yeah.
gives me that apathetic feeling like as soon as they maybe like Logan Paul. But I
I mean,
mean,
that,
that
yeah,
means he's just doing his job.
yeah, that's, again, that just comes across as just like biased at that point because
Yeah.
it's just like, I just don't like him as a person. So,
Like, yeah, I have no like I don't know Logan Paul as a person, so I really don't care. I'm just judging from his like what he does in wrestling. He comes out and you're instantly just like, I want to shut off the TV. But then if you think about it, that's kind of like his job. He's doing his job. So it's like, am I being petty and disliking him because I dislike him, or is he good at his job? And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating with Logan Paul because you don't want to
well,
admit that he's good at something.
yeah, I mean, I think just the stuff that he was into in his vlogging days before he was a wrestler is pretty much the reason why I don't like him,
Right.
because you make a joke about a very serious topic that I have dealt with before. So, I really don't appreciate that kind of shit. So when that kind of stuff happens, it's very hard to like get me back. And I
Right.
don't think he's ever going to. I just think he's a asshole. I mean, just plain and simple, he's an asshole. Yeah, he's a great wrestler and whatever, but you can be a great wrestler and an asshole of a human being, because we've seen that plenty of times
Oh,
before.
oh
So,
yeah.
so it's just like whatever. But him and I guess him and Lesnar would just be like the apathetic ones, I guess, for me, where it's just like their music hits and it's just like, okay, what the fuck ever. Like, I don't care, but I'm sure that would insult somebody, and if it did, then whatever. I'm sorry, I guess, but it's
She's
also
not
not
really
my
sorry. She's not really sorry.
not. I'm really not, because it's just like it's my opinion. I could have it. It's just like whatever. Um. Anyway, so this was another thing that I thought was very interesting. I'm glad Mike brought it up. Is Zelina right to chastise Sean Ross Sapp about scooping her release before she could say anything about it on her Twitch stream? I feel like I get it, but I feel like you also can't. I feel like the legality of it is like the fine line there, because she might not have been contractually obligated, even though she still was technically not under contract with them anymore. But it's like, I get the whole you want to control your own narrative thing. I don't fault her for that one in the slightest, but it's like, it's also his job.
Yeah, yeah.
It's his job to report on that kind of stuff. You can't really, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I see where she's coming from, but I feel like you would think legally there has to be a reason why she couldn't have said something, but clearly she was so worried about actually saying it that maybe there was no legality when it came to that. But it's just like that's his job. I guess
Yeah.
that's just my way of putting it. It's just that that's his job. I mean, you can't fault him for doing what he has to do to report on the news, and
Right.
fortunately she was just part of it.
And like he said, I don't report the news before they know it. They know it first, and then I report it. So it's kind of like he's just doing his job. He's just doing what he does.
Yeah.
He's like he said, "Yeah, I'm a reporter. I'm just reporting the news. The news happens to suck." And it's not a good topic, and obviously you understand where she's coming from, but you also understand that she's coming from a place of anger.
Yeah.
So you know her judgment's a little clouded on what is okay and what is not, and I think most logically brained people understand that Sean Ross Sapp is at no fault. He is just doing his job, what he's always been doing, and what he's known for, and that is reporting the news. And for the most part, he reports it accurately.
Yeah.
Fightful is a source that if I see it comes from Fightful, there's some weight to it, you know. And
Yeah.
you know, I think Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp have more weight than Dave Meltzer these days.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I completely agree with that. Like, I believe Fightful and Sean before I believe him.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's kind of like if it doesn't come from Fightful, might not be. That's why that was the first thing I did when I read about the Aleister Black releases. Like I said, I read it scrolling through Facebook on one of those rinky-dink wrestling Facebooks, and I was just like, nah, no way. So I went and looked up Fightful, and there you have it. And so that's when I knew it was the real deal. So yeah, I understand where she a place of anger. She wanted to get her side of the story out, or just let her fans know that she wasn't going to be working for WWE anymore. But unfortunately, Sean Ross Sapp has a job to do, and he was just doing his job.
yeah, it's just not a good situation all around,
No.
unfortunately. It's never going to be fun. It's not like he takes pride in being like, hey, look, this person lost their job today. It's
Yeah.
just that, unfortunately, part of his job is to say, report on when people lose their jobs. It's just not fun. He doesn't get, I would assume, unless he's a psychopath, he doesn't get any personal gratification out of it. It's just, that's just how he has to do it,
Right.
unfortunately. But I don't know. I guess, like I said, I can still see it. Where from Zelina's point of view, she probably wanted to be the one to break the news to everybody. So it's like you heard it from her first, but
Right.
it just didn't happen that way. All right. So of all of the released wrestlers, who would you say is most likely to show up in AEW or TNA? I mean, I feel like Rowan kind of already has ties to AEW, so it wouldn't really be a surprise to see him go there.
Yeah. I think Joe Gacy would do well in either TNA or AEW. I think he would
Yeah.
do well in either of those. Nikki Cross would do really good in TNA, I believe. With
Hmm.
their women's division. So it'd be really cool to see her there. There's a couple releases on the lower end of like the NXT side and developmental and like coming out of Evolve. I don't know what
Oh yeah,
those.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Tyra May Steele, like that one, I completely forgot why we didn't talk about that one. That one was kind of surprising because it's just like she won your competition show
right.
and you immediately got rid of her. It's just like, okay, that's a little odd to me, but I feel like she could do good in AEW's division, I would think. But um she still needs more time to develop though, which seems to be the issue, but she could do good in TNA if given the proper. Well, I think she could do good anywhere if given the proper time. They just didn't give her the proper time in NXT for whatever reason. But I agree with definitely what you were saying about all of those. I feel like Alistair and Zelina is tough because it's so easy to say, yeah, just go back to AEW. But from what I've seen online, they don't really want him back. So that would suck. So I guess TNA, they could just kind of do what Keller and Scarlett are doing and just do the indies right now if that's what they want to do, or
Mm,
just take a break. I mean, Dakota Kai or Charlie took a break. I was listening a little bit to her episode with Chris Van Vliet, and she's just like, I just wanted to take a break. I didn't want to like go back into it too quickly. It's like, well, maybe they can take a break. I mean, they're allowed to do whatever they want.
yeah, for sure.
It's just a mess. It's just a big mess all around, I think. All right, so we're gonna get out of the signings now. We're gonna move into so we're gonna stick with the topic on WWE, but do you think Jacob Fatu is the right first opponent for Roman?
Um, I see no problem with it. I was caught off guard when Jacob came out, and I was just like, oh, this is different. And
Yeah.
I think Monday Night Raw, this past Monday Night Raw, kind of did its job in getting people, to anticipate this match and what to look forward to. So I'm actually with it.
Yeah, and I was liking the promos of these two. I liked when Jacob was just like, "Well, I was trying to fight to have a meal and to make a living, and yet you were helping the Usos out and you were helping everybody else out. Where the hell were you helping me out?" And it's
Right.
just like, well, I mean, it's got a good point on that one. He's like, "And who did I tried calling and no, you wouldn't answer. So who did answer solo?" And I'm like, "Well, that makes sense. That goes back to the bloodline civil war back in the day." So it's like, yeah, so you loop in on itself with the story, which I liked. Yeah, they, like you said, they did a good job of making me invested in this feud and where it's going to go and how long it's going to go. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I was surprised, but I also wasn't like, why? Surprised in a bad way. I was just like, oh, that's, yeah, why not? And then as the promos went on in the last few weeks, I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm on board with this for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think it's a no harm situation. I think it only can be positive on the way up from here. And it gives some variety to Roman's title reign, basically. In terms of who is he gonna face. Like now, it gives the possibility of it could be anybody. Because Jacob Fatu is on SmackDown, Roman right now is on Raw. He comes on Raw and says, "I'm challenging you." So really, it could be anybody going after Jacob after he's done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's gonna beat Roman, but whoever the next challenger is could be just out of left field, just as Jacob was.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't mind that. It's nice to sometimes have things that you don't see coming from a mile away. It's just
Right,
nice to be pleasantly surprised for once,
for
and
sure.
this is definitely one of them. All right, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully they deliver on the match. I'm sure they will. I'd be shocked if they didn't, to be honest. But
Roman is the type of wrestler, he brings out the best in other people.
yeah,
So I think that's what we're gonna see, a different side of Jacob. Maybe Jacob from before he got to WWE. We might see glimpses of that.
yeah,
And like I said, Roman's gonna bring out the best in Jacob. So I think it's gonna be a good match.
yeah. I completely agree with you on that one. All right, so we're gonna go to AEW for a minute. So this one is definitely sarcasm, and I could tell because of all the question marks and exclamation points. How psyched are we for Kevin Knight to face MJF after MJF wanted to fight Darby? Yeah, it
I,
was kind of odd.
that was a horrible segment.
Yeah, it was not great.
I'm just gonna say it. That was a horrible segment. There was no way people were gonna go, "Oh yeah," because I thought it was smart at first to have MJF come out and be like, "No, that match was a farce. This whole thing is bullshit." Da 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 da. I thought that was smart, but then when they brought out Kevin Knight, I'm just like, "What?" Like
I literally said out loud, I'm like, why? Like, it makes no sense.
it
It
makes
doesn't make
no
any sense.
sense. It feels like they're forcing Kevin Knight down our throats, like trying to show up that he's a great wrestler. We get it, he is a great wrestler. TNT title is definitely up his lane, and tag teaming with Speedball is definitely up his lane. But like, I feel like wrestling MJF, like it's a
Yeah.
foregone conclusion.
I feel like it's also kind of the reverse too, where it's like, okay, you really want us to believe that MJF's going to go after the TNT title? Like, come on. Like, that's just not going to happen. It
Yeah.
just seems weird. It's odd. I'm like, you guys couldn't have come up with anything else, like literally anything else to fill in the gap that you're like, no, let's just get him out there. And I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll pleasantly surprise us. Who knows? But I'm still just a little confused about the whole thing. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm definitely confused. not intrigued by this match whatsoever, unfortunately. I'm gonna watch it, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not doing anything for me.
It's that I'm confused and not in a good way kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
when you confuse them, you lose them.
yeah, it's I'd rather be intrigued than confused, I guess is the best way to put it. It's like if
For
I'm
sure.
intrigued by it, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just check it out. But if I'm confused, I'm just like, why the hell am I even bothering with this? So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we are definitely more on the confused side than the intrigued side. Kevin Knight. Poor
Kevin
guy
Knight.
too, because and that's like I feel bad for him too, because then it's just like all these people are gonna like shit on him, and it's just like he's not a bad wrestler. It's just AEW is doing something really stupid right now, and I don't know why they're doing it. But
AEW has this habit of doing, and we talked about it before. They do matches for matches' sake,
yeah,
and after a while, that's not sustainable. You
no, you
know?
can't throw two wrestlers at a dartboard. You can't throw like two darts at a dartboard with a bunch of wrestlers and be like, okay, yeah, those two will just do a segment today,
And
they're gonna
that's
have a
what
match
it
next
feels
week.
like they do.
Mm-hmm.
It
It's like
honestly feels like that's what they do. They just throw darts at a bunch of pictures of wrestlers, and wherever it lands, those are guys that are wrestling tonight.
I think the only problem is too is then they go the complete opposite like extreme of it where it's like this is clearly a dream match on paper and then they're just like okay well it's a dream match and they don't do anything to build up the story other than just it's a dream match or
Right.
it's like a like once in a lifetime kind of match. It's just like okay well you have to give people more of a reason other than just on paper this looks great.
Right. And
Like
I don't mean to be a WWE homer, but I will say that everything on WWE TV has a purpose. You
yeah.
know, it's never anything kind of to catch you off guard. Everything has a purpose. They might throw a swerve in there once in a while, but in the end, when you analyze it, you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. You know, everything has a purpose, and I don't feel that way about AEW.
Yeah, exactly. It's just guys, you got to get it together sometimes. Like, come on. But anyway, so let's go into all right. So Mike knows your feelings on the Will Ospreay injury. Doc check on the mid match with him and Davis. So what are my thoughts on it? All right. So first, I want to get what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's a story that that like they've already overdone, and they've beaten it to a pulp where it's like, oh my God, can Will Ospreay make it through this match? Should he be wrestling? Did he come back from injury too soon? Well, yeah. You know, he had neck fusion surgery, and now he's back in like less than 6 months. That is unheard of. And I'm not here to tell Will Ospreay to do with what his life and everything. It's just the actual storytelling part of it in AEW. It's just like it's overdone. It's beat to a dead horse. Where it's like, oh my God, they're dropping him on his neck because they know his neck is, you know, compromised and he's wrapped up in kinesio tape. And so this is the story we're gonna tell. And they've already told it for like 3 matches, you know. So it's just like when are we gonna do something different here? If he's not medically cleared, why is he wrestling still? Why is he wrestling at less than 100%?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said. I feel like they kind of fall in another problem AEW has. They fall into the trap of we're going to beat this into submission and just we're going to ride this till the wheels fall off to the point of just overkill. And that's with a lot of things with like the death matches, with certain angles, certain like storylines or certain like things that they do or don't do. And especially this too, where it's just like, guys, we get that he had major neck surgery. We know it was a big deal. We know he's back. Why are you making it like his massive Achilles like heel? Because if you wanted to be super realistic, if Davis would have dropped him on his head like any normal person, he would have been dead right now or
Right.
paralyzed. So it's just like, okay, well, clearly we have seen he's still coming back. Kinesio tape and all, whatever. I kind of also saw it from the other point on Davis's side where I'm like, you kind of feel bad for him in that moment because then it's like, oh, well, the only way you could have beat somebody like Ospreay is if you like dropped him on his head and counted him out. Like, kind of does a disservice to Davis, because I feel like it would have been a little bit more impactful if he did beat him clean. Like, granted, yeah, you'd still bring up the whole, oh, well, it was his neck, so Ospreay wasn't at 100%, which comes back into, well, then why is he even wrestling if he's not at 100%? But it's kind of a, like, I don't know, I thought it was kind of a cop-out way to end that match, because I feel like you still could have had Davis do something to pin him clean, not just, okay, well, we did the big move that wrecked his neck again, as if it isn't already wrecked enough, apparently, and
Right.
that's how it wins. So,
Yeah, it's
that was my
just,
problem.
it's low grade. I mean, they can be more creative than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can still have, because here's the thing, you're already telling the story with the Kinesio tape. You don't even need to bring it up. Like, everybody who knows Osprey or has paid attention to AEW in the last year or so knows what the problem has been. You don't need to constantly bring it up over and over and over and over and over again. It's just like, guys, come on. Like, subtle storytelling is something that AEW is not well versed in yet, still. But you don't always have to like flash the obvious right in our face. People can actually pick up on cues, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But haven't caught on to that yet, which is a little annoying, but you would think they'll get it eventually, hopefully. Or not. So now we're going to go to NXT for a little bit. So Tony D got a box given to him on NXT with a Mandarin lettering style on it. Do you think it's a sign of evil coming to NXT or somebody else?
Well,
Could be, because they said he's signed, isn't he?
yeah, a little bit of breaking news. It was Evil. I did a little quick scroll of the timeline, and Evil did show up on NXT, but I didn't listen to it or anything, but they just said it's Evil. So, it could be one of those things where they're going to change his name. One of those things where they didn't mention specifically the name Evil, just he's there. He showed up today on NXT TV, so that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what he does in NXT now, if he builds any chemistry with any of the guys there.
Yeah, I'd like to see how his style of wrestling translates over to NXT, and how they can mesh with, like you said, the other wrestlers on the roster. And
Right.
yeah, there's plenty of potential with them, so can't wait to see what they can do with them.
For sure.
And see, we broke news live on the recording. Like, look at that. We can do that sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
it happens every so often. So yeah, good job. All right, so Triple H reportedly got a vote of confidence on being the head booker and signed a contract extension, but was this ever really in doubt? No, it wasn't.
No,
Like,
no.
come on, please.
Nah, I don't think so.
I would have been shocked if they fired him. They're not gonna fire him. Like, he's the easy scapegoat for them.
I think, but I do think what this does is prove that he is just a scapegoat. Like, all of our anger creatively is maybe misplaced. Because he may be just a puppet.
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting because you hear so many like back and forth kind of things from like the higher ups and whatnot, that it's just like, okay, well, what do we believe? Where it was supposedly, what was it, the CEO and the president of TKO have ultimate like say in a storyline, they just never really exercise it until they want to, essentially. And then it's, I don't know, it's just it just always seems like it's a very convenient thing of like, well, I mean, it's not really our like job to do this. And then turn around when they came to the releases, what did they say? Oh, well, Triple H was pretty much like who said who gets cut and who doesn't.
Yeah.
So he was the one in charge of that. So it's just
That's
like,
why I
okay.
feel like it's hard to believe that he would bring up Alistair's name if it was his choice.
Yeah, and again, it's almost just like, okay, well, who do you want us to believe? Like, who do you want us to, like, who's actually in charge here? Because one of you is going to say the other, and vice versa, and no one's ever going to really know. And it's just like, well, I wonder if the whole creative plan thing kind of bleeds into talent, like, management too, because if they have the say of doing whatever, Triple H might not have wanted to get rid of Alistair or Zelina, and they're just like, well, that's too bad, you're doing it. And then maybe that was that. Or maybe he did pick them, which if he did, he's stupid, but and that's a stupid move, but who are we to know? Because again, they keep telling you so many different answers that at this rate, I don't know what the truth actually is.
Yeah. That's the way I feel. Like, I don't know what the truth is. I honestly, it would just feel weird for Triple H to make that decision, knowing how high up he was on Alistair in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's just, you never know unless you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have those kind of access to those closed door meetings. Unfortunately, we don't have the right credentials for that, but it would be interesting to see what actually goes on behind closed doors because I'm sure it would be very illuminating on what actually is going on.
Right.
All right, so no Punk on Raw with his interaction with Cody the prior week. Could he be moving to SmackDown? I mean, maybe. Might shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we saw Jacob on Raw, and he's usually on SmackDown. So maybe this is a shakeup about to happen.
Yeah, or maybe they're just letting people do whatever the hell they want when it's convenient, and then they'll go back to set roster some other time. But maybe they thought it was just convenient for the story. Maybe. But I don't know. I feel like any program he's on is going to benefit. So I feel like it wouldn't really. He'd be fine either way. It's just a matter of what stories would they have for him over on SmackDown.
Yeah, which it's CM Punk. That's going to be no problem.
Yeah, it's just like give him a microphone and put him in front of somebody and something good will happen.
Exactly.
Alrighty, so we gotta go back to Alistair for a minute. Do we buy the reports of some people not being keen to the idea of Black going back to AEW? I mean, I brought it up a couple times. That's what I've heard because clearly there is we'll just say it's a rumor because we obviously don't know what the real truth is, but that rumor has still stuck around with him that people in AEW soured on him because he didn't want to lose to anybody and he didn't want to take the pins and he didn't want to lose to anybody he thought was like beneath him or something. And I'm like, I don't really know how valid that is, but clearly, when it comes to the online wrestling community, they will see a rumor and absolutely make it somebody's reputation, and that still followed him to this day. I don't know how true it is. Obviously, we're never going to really know because you're never going to hear the full story one way or the other. But if that's true, that's kind of sad because I feel like they could do, I don't know, I would like to have seen them do more things with them in AEW because I feel like the potential was there, it just never really materialized like I would have liked. Like the fact that he was never even a singles champion in AEW was kind of ridiculous to me, but I don't know. Something happened somewhere, and of course now all the AEW fanboys are happy because, oh, well, I guess the grass wasn't so greener on the other side and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, guys, you really don't have any room to talk because Cody's doing much better in WWE than he did in AEW. So sometimes the grass is always greener on the other side, but let's not talk smack because either way, both sides have no room to talk about anything. So, again, the tribalism is just so fucking stupid to me, but whatever. But no, I'd like to see him back in AEW, but we'll just have to see if that happens or if he shows up somewhere else. But it'd be a shame if that was the truth, though. That people didn't want him back. But at the end of the day, people could say they don't want him back, but if Tony wants him back, he's going to come back.
Yeah, and if the money's right, then it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to end up in AEW, but like Tony's the type that like Alistair could definitely convince him like, hey, bring me back into the fold and it'd be no problem.
Yeah, and then you just kind of hope that everyone else can play ball with him, or if he can play ball with them, but we'll see how that one goes. I would just be very interested to see where him and Zelina, because I would feel like him and Zelina kind of are going to be like a package deal, so it'll be very interesting to see where they go, if it is back to AEW or TNA or perhaps overseas or just the independent circuit. We'll see where they go because I'll be very interested and I will be paying attention.
For sure.
All right, so SmackDown's reportedly moving back to 2 hours. So what is your ideal wrestling TV show length and pay-per-view length?
I think 2 hours is for someone now doing the streaming thing and like streaming these shows and everything. Let me tell you, 2 hours is great. 3 hours is overkill.
Yeah, I feel like 2 hours is a sweet spot for
it definitely is.
TV shows for sure. I feel like pay-per-view, maybe you can add a half hour. So I feel like once you get past 2 hours, then it starts to get a little because I feel like, I'm sure you've probably felt the same way too. I think the thing that sucks with pay-per-view sometimes is that even if it is a Saturday, pay-per-view will just say, if it is so long that you're even exhausted just to the point of when the show's over, you're like, oh, thank God. It was a great show, but thank God it's finally fucking over. It's like, you shouldn't have to feel relief after a show. You want to like feel more. You're like, God damn it, I wish there was more, or not, oh, that was way too long.
Right.
And I think both companies have fallen into the trap of, oh, we got to do more, guys. You got to do more. And it's just like, no, we really actually don't. Like, please don't, because AEW still can't get it out of its head that we need to have 3 to 4 hour long pay-per-views on a Sunday night, as if most of us don't have to go to work.
Right.
Or even if it is a weekday or a weekend and it's a Saturday, I don't want to stay up until 12:30, almost 1 o'clock in the morning to watch a pay-per-view. Like, it's insane. Like, there shouldn't be 4 hour 4 hour plus pay-per-views. Just leave it at 2.5, 3 hours max.
Right.
And that's it.
And you know, and WWE is really smart. Not only do I think shortening the amount of matches on the card on a PLE was a smart idea, they're also starting Backlash at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So the show should be done by no later than 9 o'clock.
Oh, that would be perfect. So
I mean, I got to give WWE props for that.
Yeah, they understood the assignment a little bit. It's just, I wish everybody else would follow suit, because, guys, we don't want to wait. Well, and I think the thing is, too, is that if you start at a decent time and still end up, like, ending super late, I don't want to feel like, ah, damn it, I just had my entire night, not, like, wasted, we'll say, but it's just like, my God, my entire night was devoted to this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, it would have been nice if I could have done something else instead of, okay, well, now I'm immediately going to bed because I'm fucking exhausted because I sat through a 4 hour pay-per-view. It's just, it needs to be a balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of us are night owls, but even then that tests the limit sometimes. Like, I like staying up as much as the next person, but holy crap. Like, guys, you got to cut us a break. All right, so, does Ric Flair need to take a Twitter timeout after the whole Kaiser controversy? I think he just needs to have his Twitter taken away, period.
Yeah. They need to stop interviewing Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, what was the point? Like, what was really the point? This is just an instance of, sometimes thoughts need to be inside thoughts and keep them there. They don't need to always need to come out. Like, just can't help himself.
Nope.
I just don't get it. It's just, I think that just goes to anybody, period. Sometimes you just need to keep your inside thoughts, and they don't always have to be verbalized, because it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. All right. So Tiffany beats Julia. Was that the right decision? Do you think that Rhea mentioning that Julia hasn't had a real shot to do big things is setting up a match between her and Rhea at or before SummerSlam?
Ooh,
I feel like poor Julia is, like, right now such wasted potential in WWE. Like, she was such a hot commodity coming into NXT, and it's like, oh, thank God. And the whole feud with her and Stephanie Vaquer, it's like, oh my God, we get to get more of this on the main roster. And then she gets on the main roster, and it is just a flop. And I feel bad because it's not her fault. She's a great wrestler. It's just, again, they're not, for whatever reason, seeing what she was in NXT and what she was before that. And it's just like, they're kind of just making a mockery out of her right now, and it's a shame. It really is, because she's so much more than that. So that's why I hope this kind of leads to a match with her and Rhea, because Rhea's kind of obviously in the mind of, like, what you said about Roman, where it's like she could pull a great match out of anybody. I mean, hell, she pulled a great match out of Jade Cargill, which we never thought we'd see the day. So if she can pull a match like that out of somebody like Jade, imagine what she could pull with somebody like Julia, who actually knows what they're doing and is like fantastic in the ring. Like, I want to see it. I want to see it. It's just a matter of if they're going to pull the trigger on it or not. Who knows?
Yeah, I
But
agree.
I would like to see it. I know poor Jeff's probably not had a good, poor Jeff's probably not having fun right now
No,
because
unfortunately, it was his birthday the other day,
I know,
and it
like,
was
happy birthday.
yeah, and
Like,
it's when they did the releases and stuff, so he wasn't happy with
mm,
Kyrie.
no, like, I feel bad for him. Like that, and I know he's probably not too thrilled with how they're treating Julie right now. It's just like he can't win. He
Yeah,
can't win right now. So Jeff, we feel for you.
for sure.
But also happy belated birthday. If it means anything, if it helps a little bit, happy belated birthday. All right, so are we like Mike and hoping Kaiser and Gable both get unmasked at the AAA event so the stupid gimmick ends? What I thought was so fascinating to me, but it really isn't if you look at the typical demographic of the American wrestling fan, where it's like everybody hates Gable in Mexico but cheers for Kaiser, and it's the complete opposite in
Yeah,
the States. And it is just so typical. It's so typical if you think about it, because it's just like, of course you guys would boo the one that's actually the popular one or whatever. But yeah, this has gone on long enough. It shouldn't have gone on this long, to be quite honest. Yeah, in a perfect world, they both just unmask each other and it's over, but clearly that's not going to happen. But it would be nice because it's just like, who cares? Who cares anymore? Just no thanks. But damn. All right, so we got a doozy of a last question, which is of course why I made it the last question. Do you agree with Nick Khan's assessment that it's the vocal minority that criticizes the WWE, or does he have his head in the sand? He has his head in the sand. It's, come on. Like, it's this is the same guy who said that the matches at WrestleMania were going to over deliver, and especially the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton main event was going to over deliver because Pat McAfee was in it. And you mean to tell me that this guy has a finger on the pulse of what actually is going on, and oh, it's just a subsection of fans that are complaining? No, it's really everyone actually really likes it, and it's just like, yeah, go take the look at the reviews of night one of WrestleMania 42, buddy, and you tell me if it was the minority, the vocal minority, that didn't like that show. But I think it's just it almost comes across as like arrogance, I think, sometimes, or it's just like you really just seem so fucking full of yourself, and it's rather irritating. But I feel like he's just kind of always been that way, and then I guess he dropped the fun bomb today that, oh yeah, like Triple H and creative use AI for their storylines and stuff, and it's like,
I feel like
that
they're
says a
trying to
lot.
sabotage Triple H.
Just like it, I mean, you didn't have to tell me that you guys were using AI. It was kind of becoming pretty fucking obvious you were, but it's just like, ugh, I hate that. Like, I'm definitely in the like anti-AI like camp. Like, I hate it. I think it's such a cop out for a lot of things. Could it be used for good? Yes, but I feel like people just use it to be lazy because they don't want to form a like complex sentence.
Hmm.
So we'll just throw it in a chat GBT and it'll do the work for me. It's just like, okay, like, I don't think very highly of you if you use AI in that kind of capacity. So when you're using it for storylines for your wrestling company, I really don't think very highly of you. And it's just like, it's this great thing, guys. Just trust us. And it's like, nah, no, I don't think I will. But yeah, it's just Nick Khan opens his mouth, and I just every time he does, I'm just like, I really wish I hadn't seen that, because it's always just the most arrogant, stupid shit that I've ever seen. But that just seems to be his MO. And like you said, it's just like maybe he actually hates Triple H and he's just trying to make his life a living hell. I don't know, but it's it's something. It is something.
Well, like I said, it's a billion-dollar company, you know. So of course, if they're still making billions of dollars a year, they're not gonna deviate from what they're doing. They're just gonna say, "Oh, if there's any opposition, it's just from a small vocal minority that don't really have a say in what we do or anything like that. So it's just like if they keep making the money that's the excuse they're gonna keep marching out.
Yeah, and that's just the problem. If people are still going to be spending this ungodly amount of money to show up, then and I think the problem is too, because my friend and I were talking about that as well, where it's like you have to hit them in the wallet for them to actually care.
Right.
But if you're continuing to buy these tickets, then what are you showing them? It's just like you feed into that thing of like, oh, it is a vocal minority because look, we're still, I'm not going to say selling out because they're not selling out, but it's like we're still having like really good attendance records for these like shows and whatever. And it's just like, yeah, but you're not really looking at it too closely because unfortunately the people that can afford this now are not really the people that are super into wrestling like your core demographic are, but money is money to them. They don't give a shit what it looks like, but
money
yeah.
talks.
Yeah, and until you cost them money, they're going to just keep doing this shitty stuff and you're going to like it whether you want to do something about it or not. It's up to you, but I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I haven't been to a couple shows in a while, even if I wanted to, because I just didn't want to spend the money on it. And yeah, it's just like if more people did that, maybe that would make an impact. But for now, it's just them being them. It's corporate greed.
Yep,
As we
that's
always
all
say.
it is. Corporate greed.
I feel like that's just a common thing for us to say now on this show. It's almost like listeners need to take a shot or something every time we say corporate greed because it just happens so often. But it's true though. I mean, you can't really shake it one way or another. It literally is just corporate greed at the end of the day.
Yep, and it's again, they're a $1 billion entity. They're a pop culture institution. You know, especially now, it's starting to get back into the mainstream a little bit, which I'm sure they're excited about, and that just gives them more excuse to use more celebrities.
Yeah, they're gonna always find a way to justify it one way or another, whether actually warranted or not. But it's great. It's a great time. Having a great time. Anyways, so that is all of Mike's questions. So we are actually done for the night.
All right, we got through all of those questions, and you guys definitely brought it for us, for sure.
Yeah, good job, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you guys for participating in today's episode. And if you would like to participate in future episodes of the Ringside Rundown podcast, all you have to do is just check us out on social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Ringside Rundown. And on Twitter is where I post up the questions tweet every week, asking you guys to send us in some questions so that we can answer them on the podcast. And we do so. It's on the pin tweet of our Twitter account. So go to x.com or twitter.com, search for at Ringside Rundown, and the pin tweet is usually every Monday asking you guys to send us in some questions for the podcast for us to answer. Now, this podcast is available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So that means you can find it on Spotify, you can find it on Apple, you can find it on iHeartRadio, you can find it on Amazon Music, Audible. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find the Ringside Rundown podcast. But if you can't find it on your platform of choice, just let us know what platform you use. We will get you back a link to the podcast on the platform of your choice on a silver platter, but you have to give us back the silver platter because it belongs to Shay's mom, and she's just not one to mess with.
You don't want to mess with her, trust me. Like I know from personal experience, unfortunately, I have firsthand.
Yeah,
experience. Don't do it.
She's just not one to mess with. So make sure you get us back that silver platter once you get the link to it on the platform of your choosing. Just to let you know, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I am online on Twitch and YouTube. Twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown, YouTube.com/@RingsideRunPod, doing live watch-alongs of AEW and WWE programming. So if you want to watch some programs with me, I'm watching them on Twitch. You can come hang out and chat with other wrestling fans. It's a good time. I always enjoy what I do, so I definitely want you guys to come along and hang out with me when you get a chance. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
can find me on my wrestling Twitter at Shay Ringside _. We always say it's just like Eric's, except I copied the homework a little bit.
Yeah, I'm generous like that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. What can I say?
All right. So next week, I don't know what we're doing for next week, but next week we have predictions for Backlash we could do.
Oh, yeah, that is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting. I lose track of the pay-per-views at this rate.
We got Backlash coming up, but we'll also probably take your questions because Backlash is probably going to have like 5 matches on the card. So
yeah, it's probably not going to be big, hopefully, which means probably in the next couple weeks we should be gearing up for our Ask Us Anything,
yeah.
not wrestling related episode. I think we could probably do that in a couple weeks. So.
Yeah, I definitely want to get that out there. Ask Us Anything. It'll be our 3rd Ask Us Anything episode.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we did it. I think last year. Trying to remember when we did it last year. I feel like we always try to do it like once every year, just kind of give the listeners a little glimpse into what we like and whatnot outside of wrestling. So I always think it's a good time.
Yeah.
I always enjoy those episodes.
Yeah, it gives you guys a chance to ask us, basically ask us anything, whether it be like, what's our favorite music, movies, TV shows, life advice, anything you want to, anything you want to ask us about on this episode. We're going to give you the chance to do that in the coming weeks. When we get that episode out there, it'll be Ask Us Anything. This is episode 201. Could you believe we have 201 episodes under our belt?
No, it feels like such a long time ago that we started this, but also not such a long time ago at the same time. It's a crazy thing. We're still doing it, but I can't complain. We make a very good team.
We do, and I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy it because of you.
Yeah, well, same to you. I couldn't do it without you, buddy.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to this episode and all future episodes. Check them out on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Until next time, guys, take care. See you later.
See you later, guys.